Have you ever stopped trusting someone and not noticed until it was already done? Not one big moment, just small things adding up, and somewhere along the way, you stopped expecting anything from people. Stopped asking for help. Started handling everything yourself because at least then you knew how it would go. It felt like wisdom. Madara Uchiha is one of the most feared names in the entire Shinobi world.
Madara.
But before any of it, there was someone who trusted more deeply than almost anyone alive. And the moment he stopped, everything that came after made perfect sense. Let's break it down. Two boys kept meeting at a river. They weren't supposed to. Their clans had been killing each other for so long, nobody remembered why. But they kept coming back, skipping stones, not saying names, knowing exactly who the other was. Watch what Madara does. He keeps his distance, but he keeps coming back. That's not naivety. That's a boy who has already lost everything, choosing deliberately to trust something anyway, against every lesson his life has taught him.
If there's a way where neither side has to die, it'd be where they revealed what's inside them. In reality, they could both be seething inside. But with you, I can tell without even having to look inside.
Most of us have had that river, that one person you chose against everything, against what made sense, against what people around you said. And most of us know what it feels like when that person slowly becomes someone else. That river became the Leaf Village, the most powerful village in the world, built on a trust that most people said was impossible.
I've decided. Let's build our settlement right here. Assign missions that fit people's abilities, and their strengths too. Have superiors.
It sounds pretty good.
Well, then it's decided.
All right, if that settlement is built.
Madara didn't just believe in Hashirama, he staked everything on him. His clan, his history, the part of him that had spent years learning that the person across from you is either a weapon or a target. He handed all of it to one person. And for a while, it worked. Then Hashirama changed. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but the man who once skipped stones with his enemy became the leader of a village. And leaders make calculations. The Uchiha weren't given real positions of power. Too much history, too much distrust. The clan that Madara had convinced to lay down their weapons found themselves on the edges of something they helped build. Madara watched it happen. And then he did the hardest thing he'd done since that river. He went to Hashirama and said, "This isn't what we built." Hashirama heard him, understood him, even tried to make it right, offered Madara the title of leader to compensate for what the village was taking. But Madara already understood what that offer meant. It wasn't recognition, it was management. A way to keep him quiet while the system stayed exactly the same.
Hashirama, do you really believe that I know nothing?
I will name you second Hokage.
I suspect Tobirama will be the second Hokage.
Madara.
I could not protect my brothers, and it seems I won't.
No, that's not true.
The village they built together had decided, before he'd done anything wrong, that people like him would never truly belong.
Hokage, it's not your choice. The decision should come from the top officials. Selecting Madara to be the leader isn't a good idea. It's true. Even the Uchiha will admit that. The stronger their hate, the stronger their visual. They're unpredictable.
He wasn't betrayed by someone who stopped caring. He was betrayed by someone who cared and chose the village anyway. Look at Madara in that moment. No rage yet, just still. That stillness is a man watching his closest friend become exactly what they promised each other they would never be. That's not a betrayal with a knife. That's worse. That's watching someone you chose against everything quietly become a stranger. He stands at the gate he helped build, doesn't go in, just stands there, watching a world he made continue without him. And then something shifts. The stillness breaks. If the only person he ever truly trusted couldn't be trusted, then trust itself was the mistake. Not his enemies, not the war, him. for believing. That rage came out at the Valley of the End. Madara and Hashirama fought with everything they had. Two men who built a village together, trying to destroy each other. The land cracked beneath them. Madara brought the Nine Tails. He was done negotiating, done believing. If he couldn't trust anyone else, he would decide the outcome himself. Hashirama won, and in that defeat, something finally cooled. The rage burned out. What was left wasn't anger anymore. It was something quieter, more permanent. A man who had decided, once and for all, that he was the only one worth trusting.
俺は俺たちのもんや俺の里を守る何があろうともたとえそれが友であろうと兄弟であろうと我が子であろうと里にあだなす者は許さん本末転倒だなそれが里の闇になる
When trust breaks, most people don't collapse. They get quieter. They stop asking. They build something that looks exactly like strength from the outside. Reliable, independent, always there when it matters. But there's a distance in it. They give freely because giving doesn't require trust. It's letting someone in that does. People think they know you. They know the version you built, the one that doesn't need anything. Think about the last time someone offered you help and you said you were fine. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't, but you said it without even checking. And then something darker happens. Every offer of help becomes a setup. Every person who gets close has an angle. You pull back right when something real is about to happen. Because if you leave first, they can't leave you. You call it experience. It's bitterness that learned to sound like wisdom. Decades later, Madara finds a broken boy on a battlefield. Obito has just lost everything. He's ready to die. And Madara sits beside him in the dark. Watch what he gives him. Not comfort, not friendship, a purpose.
Sever the fate of this world. A world of only victors. A world of only peace. A world of only love. I will create such a world. Just come over here. Starting today, you will be the savior.
His purpose. Madara didn't see a boy to save. He saw himself, broken, betrayed, ready to give up. And the only answer he'd ever found was control. So that's what he handed Obito, not because he was cruel, because it was the only thing he had left to give. He never asks Obito what he wants. He never sits beside him the way he once sat beside Hashirama at that river. Just a man handing someone a role and calling it belief. Obito spends years thinking Madara saved him, and in a way he did. But he also did to Obito exactly what was done to him, built someone around a promise that was never really theirs to keep. Madara gave Obito everything except the one thing that actually cost something. He never once let Obito change his mind. That's the difference between Hashirama and Madara. One sat beside someone and let them change his mind. The other sat beside someone and handed them a role. Madara watches the world from a distance for decades. The wars, the brief peace, the collapse back into conflict. Every generation relearning the same lessons in blood. There's a scene where he explains his plan, and he's completely calm. No rage, no grief, just a man who has thought it all the way through. That calm is the most frightening thing about him, because anger still wants something. What Madara has is worse. He's stopped wanting anything from people at all. He doesn't hate them anymore. He pities them. And pity is so much harder to come back from than hate. He never stopped wanting peace. He never stopped respecting Hashirama. He just stopped believing that any of it was enough to change anything. I had one person break my trust once. Not dramatic, just someone who showed me that the people you open up to can hurt you in ways strangers never can. And after that, I started handling everything myself. Not because I was strong, because the pain of being let down felt heavier than doing it alone. What I didn't see was what I was doing to everyone else. I let one person's betrayal decide for all of them. People who had done nothing wrong. People who actually showed up. There were people who tried to give that trust back, and I made it hard for them. Not everyone is the same person who hurt you. That sounds obvious, but when you're the one carrying it, it just feels like protection. When Madara returns during the war, Hashirama doesn't look at him with hatred. He looks at him the way you look at someone you've watched destroy themselves and couldn't stop. Even then, even after everything, he still sees the boy at the river. That's the cruelest part of bitterness. It doesn't just close you off from people you distrust, it closes you off from the ones who actually see you. Madara couldn't receive it, and in his final moments, the plan collapsed, everything gone, something shifts. He tells Hashirama he should have chosen him, not as an accusation, as a man who finally stopped defending the conclusion he spent a lifetime building. Too late to change anything, but real. He wasn't defeated by someone stronger. He was defeated by people who did the one thing he had stopped doing. They trusted each other. Naruto and the Alliance beat him not through strength alone, but because they fought as people who believed in each other even when it made no sense, the same way two boys once kept coming back to a river. Madara built the most elaborate plan in history to remove the need for trust, and he lost to it anyway. The world didn't make Madara this way, evidence did, and the evidence was real. But somewhere between that river and the moon plan, he made a switch, from this is what people do, to this is all people can ever do. That switch is where it ends. There was a boy at a river who had already lost everything.